Oh, hello. Welcome to some Tesla news. Mainly news about my Model X and some tire issues that I've been having. Um, I would say, "What's up, guys?" or "Hey, what's up, guys?" Because I don't know why, but for some reason, all the YouTubers these days are always saying that, and I don't get it. Thank you for watching live. I'm answering questions as you keep me company here while I'm at the Supercharger. This is my Tesla Trip channel, and I do semi-weekly news on Tesla-related things, and I do live chats when I'm traveling across the country in my Tesla Model X. Right now, I'm going from Riverton, Wyoming to Fremont, California, and tomorrow I'm going to be going on a tour of the Tesla factory. So I'm in Winnemucca, Nevada, which is a couple hours away from Reno right now, and my adventures actually started last Friday? Or earlier in the week, I suppose. I noticed that the tire pressure on my rear driver's side tire was low, and so I just put some more air in it, and a couple days later it was low again. Put some more air in it, I was like, dang it, I got a tire, or nail in my tire. And foolishly, I thought, well, I should probably get the tire fixed before I go on my trip, and so I took it to a local tire shop, which is fine. They're great company. But they don't really work on Teslas. And the tire's a tire, right? No, not so much. Elon even tweeted about this earlier in July. Apparently on all the new Teslas, probably since they did the autopilot 2.0 retrofit, they put foam in the tires so that there's less wind noise. And my Model X is one of those Teslas with foam in the tires. So they found 2 nails in my tire, and they tried to patch it. So in order to patch it, they had to scrape off part of the foam and put their patch on there. They said they tried it 4 times and they could not get the patch to stay because of whatever the adhesive is for the foam. So ultimately, I didn't want to have my Tesla towed all the way to like Salt Lake or whatever, or wait for a tire to come in, a new tire, and I'm going on my trip. So they wanted to use that slime stuff, so they put the slime in there and it worked. It patched the tire. So I thought, that's great. So I used it for a few more days, no problems whatsoever, because I wasn't going fast. And I don't know if it's because they didn't balance the tire, or it's just the way that goop is, or what. But as soon as I got over 65 miles an hour, the whole Tesla would shake violently. So that wasn't good. So I drove slow through Wyoming to Salt Lake, which I was super excited because the Superchargers are finally open in Rock Springs and Evanston, so I could actually go 80 miles an hour to get to Salt Lake. Before, the past 2 years, I've been taking back roads and going like 60 miles an hour so that I could make it without having to charge for long periods of time at RV parks. I'd still have to do a little bit of charging, but I'd minimize that by driving slow. Anyways, I had to drive slow again, so it was a little disappointing. And luckily, I talked to Tesla, and they arranged it so that I could get new tire, or actually 2 tires in the back, first thing in the morning. So I stayed the night in Salt Lake, and I got new tires, and it works great. I'm going 80 miles an hour all the way to San Francisco from Salt Lake, and it's working good now. So I'm all set. Again, if you guys are watching live, ask away on questions. Hopefully the stream's looking good. I'm on AT&T's network. I was getting 24 megs up a little while ago. I did test just before this. It was around 2 megs, so hopefully it's not too choppy. There might be a little bit of stuttering. But yeah, so I'm going to the Tesla factory. Last time I was there, was after I bought my Model S, and they were just starting to do like prototypes of the Model X, or release candidates, I guess. I saw a shell of one. It was cool. This will be interesting because now, I think they were producing about 1,000 cars a week then, and now they're producing at least, I think it's 2,000 cars for the S and the X, or maybe 3, and then they're trying to get up on the Model 3, so it'll be like almost 4 times as many Teslas being built at the factory and they'll be utilizing a lot more space, because when I was there last, they weren't using all of the space. In fact, they were using only a small portion of the space. I'm also going to be driving by Sparks, Nevada, which is where the Gigafactory is, and I was there about a year ago. So I'm thinking I may not go there on the way today, but maybe on my way back next Wednesday or Thursday, I'll drive by and just take a look at it and see how things have changed. I don't think they're giving tours or anything again. That was kind of a one-time thing. I think they said they're going to eventually, but they haven't yet. So that's a lot I had to get off my mind. So if you're buying a Tesla and you have tire issues, I would recommend taking it to Tesla. They also said there were some issues with the rotor and the brake pad. I need to look at my ticket. I'm not sure if they charged me to fix those things, or if it was possible damage from the shop that worked on them that was trying to fix the tire. I don't know. Oh, I was gonna pull up do a little bit of news here, just to fill some time, because I'm waiting for my supercharge. I've got a 40-minute wait here before I continue on my trip. If I want to go to Truckee, I'm saying that wrong, over at Donner Pass Road. That's the next supercharger, and then I can make it all the way to the Tesla factory. So this supercharger, one more supercharger, and I'm there. Although this is what Tesla's telling me to do. The Tesla's telling me to do. If actually, I should show you the screen. Be a little bit more helpful. So right now it says I got 40 minutes left at the supercharger. It's charging at 260 miles an hour. I've already added 113 miles. I pulled in one with very few miles. And so yeah, if I wait 40 minutes, I can make it all the way into California. Over the Donner Pass Road. I'm trying to think of the name of that resort over there. It's escaping me right now. Anyways, but there's other superchargers. It's not showing them. So if I don't want to wait 40 minutes, actually the fastest way to get there would actually be to leave right now and go over to Lovelock, Nevada, and supercharge there for like 10 minutes. And then I could probably make it all the way over to Reno and supercharge for like 10 minutes. And then I could make it to California. But, you know, if I was going to eat like a meal or something here or in Lovelock, then I might as well just wait it out and supercharge to having a full battery. And then I've got lots of options here too between Reno and San Francisco along the way. So it's not, wow, I have to go to that supercharger. How many spots is there? Rockland. 18. Woo! Okay, that sounds cool. I've never seen a supercharger with 18 stalls before. So if you guys know, if I'm going to be at the Mobile World Congress conference most of next week in San Francisco, so I'm looking for things to do after the conference. I think I'm going to go try and see like the gift shop over at Apple, and go drive by like Facebook and Google and all those fun places over in Silicon Valley. If you know of any cool things to do over there, let me know, because I'm pretty excited to be hanging out in like Tech City over there, Silicon Valley, when I'm from Wyoming, which is kind of the opposite of that at the moment. Plus all these superchargers, I'm so jealous. We finally got our superchargers, so we have a couple over here in Wyoming. Still in the corners of Wyoming. I live in the middle of Wyoming. Hopefully the feed's working good. I'm guessing not, because I don't see anybody chatting. This is live. Please, chat. if I don't see anything soon, I'm just gonna go ahead and head out and go to the next Supercharger. See, there's 11 people watching right now. Oh, there you go. You live in San Diego, and you only have one Supercharger. You only have one Supercharger in San Diego? That's crazy. Well, San Diego, I mean, if you look at, I have no Superchargers in my town of Riverton, Wyoming. Hey, cool, I see the feeds coming in. It's probably just super delayed. Oh, hey, thanks about the car, Calvin. You guys want to look around real quick, you can kind of see this is an interesting Supercharger. I think it's one of the very first ones. It looks like they've upgraded the casing on it. It doesn't have the super old Supercharger cases, but it's kind of laid out really weird. Like, the Superchargers are kind of inside the parking space, so you kind of have to park outside the lines a little bit. And then all of the spaces are Tesla or 30-minute general parking, except for 2. And really only one of them that I can use that's not general parking, because the other one is for handicap parking, which is good. I'm glad that there's one here. I don't see a lot of handicap parking signs at the Superchargers. I see that they usually try and do a space on the side that's bigger, but I don't normally see the reserved for handicap. So there's only 4 Superchargers at this station, and it was actually telling me to skip this one. It wanted me to charge longer over in Elko and go directly over to Lovelock. If you just saw my door close, I have the package where it does the auto opening door, the valet. So this is the tire that had all the issues. Looks like they kind of beat it up a little bit when they were working on it, so that's kind of a bummer. Oh, 20 chargers? That'd be awesome.
Take place in Hawaii.
Over in Albany, New York? Yeah, I saw that tweet. So that there's 20 of them. So this 18's old news. It's tiny. Oh, and you missed the beginning, the issue with the tire. So I had a nail. I had 2 nails actually. So they said they had a big one and a small one. And on my Model S, I had the same issue. I ran over a tire. I ran over some nails, or some nails got stuck in one of the tires, and I took it to a local shop, and they just patched it and put it back on. No big deal. No issues. I could still go 100 miles an hour. The car didn't wobble. It was fine. And it was a fairly new tire at the time. This go around, I got about 20,000 miles on my Model X, and I was doing some racing, barrel racing, going around the parking lot and stuff, and I kind of wore down my tires a little prematurely. I think they probably would last closer to 30,000 miles, but they're already looking like they're maybe 5,000 miles or less away from being replaced anyhow. And with the slime they put in there, they said it ruined the sensor, the tire pressure sensor, and it would be kind of weird if I had one worn down tire and one non-worn down tire. So they just I had them replace both back tires, and apparently on the Model X there are different tires on the front and the back. So when I do my annual service, which I apparently was supposed to do like 8,000 miles ago, I'll schedule that out for like in a month or so. I'll probably do the front tires too. Then I'll have a whole new set of tires. But yeah, the big issue is these have the sound dampening tires, so they have foam in them, and my local tire shop could not patch a tire, so they said that the patch would not stick. So that's something to be aware of. If you don't own a Tesla and you don't know, they don't come with spare tires. And they don't even come with that fix-a-flat stuff, which apparently ruins the tire sensors, which is what the Chevy Volt comes with, is a little fix-a-flat and an inflator, a little air pump thing. Which, I mean, it worked. It worked. I mean, it got me from Riverton to Salt Lake to get, you know, the right tire and everything. So you're saying Albany's not quite the mecca of the Northeast, but you know they do a lot of what they call modeling when they're researching where to put these superchargers, and they take a lot of data of how many Teslas are going through that area, and I'm sure it's got to be on like some kind of a busy intersection or something like that for travelers, because that's the whole point of the supercharger network, is for people to get from point A to point B, or at least that's the original point of it. Now they're talking about urban charging for people that are local, and now that you're gonna have to pay for it, you know, like being your only charging station, treating it more like a gas station. Before it was only supposed to be for people that are, you know, traveling long distances. So yeah, there must be some, you know, an intersection of some major roads or something close by is all I can think of on why they'd want to put 20 of them there. Or maybe it's as simple as they bought the land and they had the rights to do it. Can I rev it? Can I rev my Tesla? It makes zero noise when you rev it when it's plugged in and charging, because it says it's plugged in. It'll give a little beep. Nope, not even a beep. It won't even let me put it into gear. It's smart. It's not like a car where you can have it plugged into the fuel tank and then just take off and rip off the hose on the gas station. Or at least the last gas car I drove. Oh, yep. Yeah, Paul, I see. Yeah, so it is like a major intersection. That makes a lot of sense. Alex, you didn't know that Tesla had spots for disabled with a charger? Yep, they're cool like that. All right, what do I got here for my state of charge? I got 16 people watching. Thank you for keeping me company. Looks like I got 25 minutes if I don't want to stop at another in-between supercharger, or I can head out now and I can stop and Lovelock and charge for a while and keep going. Hey, thanks, David. So just real quick, so some of the things I look for when I'm looking for Tesla news. Oh, I just got an update from my phone saying that I'm almost done supercharging, which is funny because I'm at 207 miles, and it's saying I got 25 miles to get on my trip. So at this point, if you don't know this about superchargers, is the fuller the battery gets, the slower the charging rate. So when I got in here, I think it was like 280, or no, when it started out it was like 320 miles an hour of range, and now it's down to 236. And as it gets up to like where the battery's at 240 miles, that'll drop all the way down to like 60. And so that very last part, so it's like, yeah, it's saying like I got 25 minutes to wait. After like 10 minutes, it'll be really close, and that last 15 minutes is just going to be super slow. Like I said, if I want to make good time, the best thing to do is go to more superchargers. So drive for like, 2 hours and hit a supercharger, as opposed to trying to charge longer at one supercharger and go drive for 3 hours. I'm making a trip that's like, I think it's 1,100 miles. So it's a very long trip in a Tesla. So when I test drove the S yesterday, they had an issue on autopilot with fairly heavy traffic, where cars merging from the right. Have you seen those issues with autopilot? Autopilot does some things really well and some things it doesn't. It's getting better all the time. Yeah, if people are merging, it doesn't do a great job of letting people in. You have to take over. So you have to be watching it, and if people are merging, you want to take over manual control. That's just kind of how it is right now. But like, let's say on this 1,000-mile drive, I'm using autopilot for 980 or 990 miles of it. There's only got like 10 miles that I'm manually driving the thing, but it's all babysitting it and being ready to take over whenever the conditions aren't great, especially like road construction. What are the published range versus the practical range of your X? Published is, I think, 260. That's the EPA rated range. And it's pretty doggone accurate going 65 miles an hour. Going 80 miles an hour, it's probably around 240. With the AC and 90-degree weather. If I drive a little bit less, if I drive like 55 or 60 and I'm not having to use heavy AC, like driving in the morning or the evening, I can actually get 300 miles range. I've done that. I've driven 310 miles on this Model X. So hypermiling, you know, you can definitely get way more than rated range. And then I'd say, you know, figure an extra 20% on whatever the rated range is for where you're trying to get to, just as a buffer to be safe. If you need to go, you know, 250 miles, then you'd want to charge up to, you know, 270 if your Tesla can do that. This one's not rated for that, but it's a 90D. They have a 100D that can. My Model S could go 10 miles more. It could go 270. Even though it was an 85 and this is a 90, it's a bigger car. It's a little bit less efficient. Oh, so yeah, my battery's a 90 kilowatt and it shows 260 ever since I bought it, and that's what it still goes to when I charge it up. Rhino Vulcan. So just reading on Reddit, it's kind of interesting that people are complaining because some people are canceling their Model 3 reservations because they either bought a Model S or X, or well, then they just applied, I guess, to the new car, but for whatever reason they're canceling. And it used to take a couple months to get a refund. Now they're saying they're getting refunds as soon as 7 days. So if anybody's thinking they want that new Nissan Leaf instead, or Chevy Bolt, you can get your money back a little bit quicker from Tesla. Although I've been in a Model 3 a couple weeks ago, and I'll probably see some tomorrow, and I would not cancel that reservation. Those things are awesome, and if you can afford to do it, buy it. And if you don't like it, turn around and resell it for a profit, because the backlog is so high up there. It's close to 500,000 now, I'm sure. You can't decide if the base Model 3 range would be enough. Don't currently own a Tesla. It depends on how far you drive. I'd say go for the long range if you can do it, for a lot of reasons. If you're going to get it sooner because you're not getting the base, you'll be pretty much guaranteed to get the full tax credits. If you wait for the non-long range one, you might get a slightly different tax credit, the lower tier, because I don't know, it just depends on how many they make and ship, and I guess there's a lot of factors. So that's something to consider too. It might not make that big of a difference in your price if you can get the tax credit versus waiting for the shorter the standard range one. What is it rated? 215 miles, 220 miles versus I can't remember now. What is the long range one? 240 or 250? No, 300. Shoot, 310. Yeah, 310. Thank you. Thank you, Ken. 310. Oh man, 310. It'd be nice. It'd be really nice to have 310. I tell you, at the 260 mine's rated, it always seems like I'm just like 10 miles short of where I need to go without charging. So, but that, you know, that's part of when you're driving it. It tells you, you know, slow down so you can make it, and because it'll make a big difference if you're driving, you know, 80 miles an hour and you slow down to 65 miles an hour, you can get like another 20, 30 miles of range just by slowing down. It makes a huge difference. And you can cut back on the AC. That makes a little bit of a difference. I'd say like 10% or something like that, 5-10%. But cutting down on the speed makes even bigger difference. I'd say if you can swing it, go for the long range for sure. But if you're just going to be driving it around town mostly, or a suburban area, then you don't need it. But if you live in like Wyoming or a big state, definitely get the long range. Model 3 will have air suspension with dual motors next year. And if you look at when like on mine, it's saying July of next year when you'll be able to order that. So it's almost a year away if you want to wait. It might be worth the wait though. The air suspension and dual motor are nice. They make a big difference if you've got a lot of roads that have potholes, or not potholes, but speed bumps and curbs, and because it's GPS aware, it auto raises and lowers. And the dual motors, great for snow, and it increases the acceleration. I'm torn because I'm thinking of getting. Well, I have a Model 3 on reserve, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I should just go ahead and get the long range one right away. And if I don't like it or whatever, I want to get the other one, I could sell it because the backlog's so high. I could probably still get pretty close to what I paid for it while I'm waiting. I don't know. It's it's a tough call. There's see reports that 310 is being exceeded in the real world early days. It's interesting because they're saying it's a 55 kilowatt hour battery. And you get 310 miles. And the Chevy Bolt is a 60 kilowatt hour battery, and it's rated at 238 miles. So you're getting like more than 50 miles extra range on a smaller battery on the Model 3. So I know the Model 3 is made of more aluminum, so I'm assuming it's a lighter weight vehicle. But being in a Bolt, and a Model 3, the Model 3 is a bigger vehicle than the Chevy Bolt. So I don't know how they're doing that. I mean, it's got to be a more efficient vehicle. I imagine because it's a more efficient vehicle, the Model 3, that when you're hypermiling, then that would be exaggerated as well. So the more efficient it already is, and the way you stretch it out would you'd be able to see that better of gains, because like people in the Bolt are getting close to 300 miles, and so I imagine same goes for the Model 3. If if you're going 50 miles an hour, you're driving around town at 30 miles an hour, then you might be able to see like 350 miles of range. The 100 kilowatt hour Model S, somebody got it over 550 miles, I believe. It was. Or maybe it was even more than that, but I think it was 550 by hypermiling, driving around 25 miles an hour. Your Model 3 shows delivery for February-March timeframe. Hope to make the tax credit cutoff. Also buying a Leaf due to $10,000 local power company credit plus the tax. What's the Leaf? Yeah. The Leafs have awesome deals right now, and then and then the current model right now has got big factory rebates because of next year's model, which they just debuted, which I think it's a 45 kilowatt hour battery, and this year's is a 35 kilowatt hour battery, and they're saying it's only around 150 mile range. So the Model 3 has to be significantly more efficient than both the Leaf and the Chevy Bolt. They're saying that the MPGs was 126 miles per gallon equivalent or something like that. It's like the most efficient car ever made, supposedly. I know they were looking for like the drag coefficient on the aerodynamics, and it was rated like insanely high. Yeah, the long range. So there's some interesting math on that, because Tesla's rating it at 100 or at 55 kilowatt hours. But yeah, the Model 3 has a frunk. That's right. It's a smaller frunk than the S and X, though. Yeah, so they're saying 55 kilowatt hour ish. I'm thinking that's the usable range, and then it's actually closer to a 60 kilowatt hour battery, maybe like 59, 58, which Tesla's done before. Like these 90 kilowatt batteries are actually more like a 89 or 88 or something like that, and some of the 85s were closer to like 79. There's actually a lot of difference on the sticker rating versus what was actually in the pack and what's usable. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing the opposite in the Model 3. They actually are containing more power than what they're saying the rating is, and they're just kind of limiting it for now so that the Model S and X will still be superior looking cars on paper. That way when people go, oh yeah, the Model S is used and everything, they start at 60 kilowatt hours, and you know, if you're going to get a Model 3, the highest they can go is only 55. So obviously the Model S and X's are better no matter what. And then of course the new ones are, you know, 75s or 90s or 100s. And I guess there was some in Europe that were going to be 80s, I guess. So they're probably doing away with the 75 soon, and they'll be 80s and 100s only, I'm sure. Yeah, that $10,000 from Power Company, that's an awesome deal. If you can get a Leaf that cheap, it's hard not to want to do it. And the weird thing is they were selling for like $5,000 to $10,000 just a few months ago. Now I can't see any used ones for less than $10,000, which is crazy. So Kevin says, you've seen the Model 3 in person. What colors did you like on it? I saw it in person at night both times. I saw the Alphas and then the delivery event. I like all the colors. I thought they all looked good. I personally, from owning a Model S, even though it looks awesome when it's clean, I would pay the extra money and get any other color. Just simply because water spots are impossible to keep off of that black. And I mean, anytime you get wet on your Model S or your Model 3, you have to clean it immediately, or those water spots get on there and they'll bake into the paint, and they're really hard to get out. So I would never get a black car ever again. That's just me. I drive a lot, so it's really hard to keep a black car clean. I got this Model X in red multi-coat, and it has been significantly easier to keep clean. Although you still see water spots, but it's not as big of a deal, and they're not noticeable from a distance at all. And they don't seem to bake in as easy. It doesn't heat up as much. I've also seen white. The white looks really good. I like white. The silver looked okay. The blue looked pretty nice. They all looked good. I personally like red. I'd go with red again, or maybe white, just because it's weird to say, but white cleans up really nice, and little scratches and things don't show up in the white. Yeah, good deal on the Black X. It's so weird too, because that's the default. Any other color than black costs you at least $1,000 on the S and the X. I don't know what it is on the Model 3 yet. I'm sure it's like at least it's probably a $500 premium to pick another color. Stealing all my news from Reddit. We won't be able to sniff the back of the cars with the badging going to be taken off. Oh yeah, yeah. I guess they're not putting badges on the current ones that are being delivered to employees. That might change, and I guess they're not putting an emphasis on the pack size because the cars are efficiencies are significantly different, right? I mean, the big question is when you go to buy a Model S and it has a 60 kilowatt battery, and you're saying, well, why doesn't it get 310 miles like the Model 3 that only has a 55? It just confuses people. They don't understand. You have to explain that, well, it's a bigger car and all this and that. And so now they're just going to do away with battery rating on the public side and just be like, you know what, this is the long range version, this is the short range version. Just simplify it. They'll probably have two versions of each car, short and long. And this year, the long range version goes 310 miles. And next year, the long range version will go 350 miles. Or, you know, they'll probably just do it that way. And I know Tesla says they don't do model years. I'd say they do quarterly models. Because it seems like every quarter they shut down the production line for a week or two, and then there's some little tiny new thing that's different about the car. Like right now, it's the hardware 2.5 autopilot with the redundant wiring and the extra internal camera and the bigger processor. So I bought my car 6 months ago and it's already obsolete. Well, you know, it's just the older model now, and it's not even a different year. And I'm sure they're going to do it again at the end of this quarter. There'll be something else different. It'll probably be the battery packs, I bet you. Maybe they'll do away with the badging. There'll be short and long range versions of the Model S and X. And they'll probably be, you know, 180 kilowatt hours or something like that. And maybe they'll unleash some of the new power and the new motors, or maybe they'll switch over the motors to permanent magnet motors, which are supposedly what the efficiency difference is. The permanent magnet motors are more efficient, whereas the AC induction motors that are in the S and X are more geared towards performance, from what I understand. So I got 5 minutes left to have enough range to make it to my next spot. Oops. Let's see here. Again, if you're just tuning in, I'm in Winnemucca, Nevada. I'm probably saying the name wrong. And
proceed to the highlighted route onto Potato Road.
I'm on Potato Road. I've got 400 miles to get to the Fremont factory, and it looks like I'm good to go. I have enough range. I'll make it there with 13% battery. I normally would not go unless I had 20%, but I have option of at least 2 more chargers before the one that it's recommending. I've got the one in Lovelock, Nevada, and the one in Reno. So I'm probably going to stay the night in Reno tonight and then head out early in the morning and get over to the Tesla factory for my tour at 3 p.m. And I'll be doing a video, I don't know if it'll be live tomorrow, afterwards, to kind of talk about the experience on what I can. They do make you sign like a little NDA and picture thing before you go into the factory, but I'm sure I'll be able to talk in general about it. Just the differences between the last time I went when they were making the X and this year when they're making the X and the Model 3. Aren't AC induction motors more eco-friendly? I thought so. Supposedly, yeah, they don't use rare earth magnets, so they are a little bit more eco-friendly. Supposedly there's enough of the permanent magnet motors, they're rare earth metals though, that it shouldn't be an issue, and they'll eventually just start recycling them at some point. But yeah, there was a big article on Tesla's website, a blog, about why they chose induction motors. They were the only electric car manufacturer to use them. There's also less friction, so they should last longer in theory, from what I understand on how they're made. I thought there were the advantages. They were more eco-friendly. They weren't more efficient, but they were supposed to last longer, and they were able to go. They had more power. Anyways, thank you guys so much for staying tuned and watching. Please subscribe if you like, you know, the videos that I make and these little live chat sessions. Thanks, Ken. Heard they broke bearings. There's brushless DC motors, and there's a few different types. Yeah, there's different types of motors. I'd have to do more research to know for sure, but yeah. Thanks for the 40 minutes. Please subscribe, hit the notifications if you want to know when we're doing these little live events, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.